Let me tell you about Papa Okon. Not the Papa Okon you might know, but the one who lived in the old compound at the end of Mercy Street. The one nobody really talked to. The one who had been there for 40 years, maybe longer, living alone in that dusty compound with the rusty gate that squeaked when the wind blew. Papa Okon was the kind of neighbor you forgot existed until you saw him shuffling to the market once a week. Bent over like a question mark, his face hidden under a wide straw hat. He never greeted anyone first. And when you greeted him, he would just nod, maybe mumble something that sounded like, "Good morning," and "Keep walking." The children in the neighborhood were afraid of him. Not because he was mean, he had never shouted at anyone, never chased anyone away. It was just something about him. The way he moved slowly, like he was carrying invisible weight. The way his compound was always silent. No radio playing, no visitors laughing, no sound of life at all. "That man is hiding something," Mama Ngozi would say, shaking her head as she swept her veranda. A man who lives alone for 40 years? No wife, no children, no family coming to visit? Something is not right. But most people didn't care enough to wonder. Papa Okon kept to himself, caused no trouble, and paid his community dues on time every year. What he did behind that rusty gate was his business. Until the day he died. It was a Tuesday morning when Baba Chukwu, the compound next door, noticed the smell. Not strong at first, just a strange sweetness in the air that made you wrinkle your nose. By Wednesday, the smell was unmistakable. Death. Baba Chukwu called some of the other men. They knocked on Papa Okon's gate. No answer. They knocked louder. Nothing. "We have to go in," Baba Chukwu said. "If he's in there dead, we need to inform his people." They climbed over the gate. It wasn't very high, just rusted and old like everything else about Papa Okon's compound. What they found on the other side made them stop and stare. The compound was full of things. Not garbage exactly, but stuff. Piles and piles of stuff. Bags, boxes, old furniture, clothes hanging on lines stretched between trees. Buckets, pots, shoes, books, papers, bottles. Everything you could imagine, stacked everywhere. "Jesus Christ," one of the men whispered. They found Papa Okon in his room, lying on a small mat in the corner. He had died in his sleep, probably 3 days ago, maybe 4. His body was already stiff, his face peaceful. But it was what surrounded him that made the men's blood run cold. The room was filled with things. But not random things. Organized things. Shelves upon shelves, each labeled with names and dates. And in those shelves, on those labels, were names they recognized. Their names, everyone's names. By afternoon, news had spread through the entire neighborhood like wildfire. Papa Okon was dead, yes, but that was not the important part. The important part was what they had found in his compound. A crowd gathered at the gate. The men who had gone inside first tried to stop people from entering. But how do you stop a crowd when everyone's name is written on boxes inside a dead man's house? Mama Ngozi was one of the first to push her way in. Her daughter had told her, "Mama, they say there's a box with your name on it in Papa Okon's house." She had laughed. "My name? That old man doesn't even know my name." But her daughter's face was serious. "Mama, everyone is talking about it. You should go and see." So Mama Ngozi went. And when she saw the inside of Papa Okon's compound, her laughter died in her throat. The main building had 3 rooms. The bedroom where Papa Okon had died, a small kitchen, and what must have been a sitting room, but was now more like a warehouse. Every inch of space was filled with shelves. Rough wooden shelves, carefully constructed, each section labeled with a piece of paper. And on those papers names, hundreds of names. Everyone who lived in the neighborhood, past and present. "This one is mine," Baba Chukwu said quietly, pointing to a shelf near the door. His name was written in faded ink, Chukwu Okonkwo -1987. On the shelf were items, strange items. A comb with a few strands of gray hair still stuck in the teeth. A button. A torn piece of cloth that looked like it came from an old shirt. A bottle cap. A dried flower. I had a shirt like this," Baba Chukwu whispered, touching the cloth. 20 years ago. I tore it on a nail and threw it away. How does he have this?" Mama Ngozi found her shelf. Ngozi Adeni minus 1995. Her hands shook as she picked through the items. A broken earring, her earring, the one she had lost 5 years ago and searched everywhere for. A hair tie. A shopping list written in her own handwriting, dated from 3 years back. How? She had thrown that list in the trash. She was sure of it. Look at this one. Someone called from the corner. This is Amaka's shelf. From the Amika who died 10 years ago. Papa Okon has his things too. The crowd pressed closer. It was true. Even people who had moved away, even people who had died, Papa Okon had collections for all of them. A young woman named Ada found her shelf and gasped. There, among the other items, was a lock of hair tied with a blue ribbon. But not just any hair, baby hair. Her son's hair from his first haircut, which she had carefully saved in a box at home. She ran home and checked. The box was still there. The hair was still inside. But Papa Okon had hair too. The exact same hair. How? Ada whispered, staring at the impossible duplicate. How did he get this? Nobody had an answer. The police came. They had to. This was clearly not normal. A man collecting personal items from neighbors for 40 years without anyone knowing? This was either theft or something far stranger. Officer Adamu walked through the compound, his face getting more disturbed with each step. He had been a police officer for 20 years, had seen many strange things, but this was different. Sir, you need to see the backyard, one of his juniors called. The backyard was worse than the house, much worse. There were more shelves here, protected from rain by tarps and corrugated iron sheets. But these shelves held bigger items, clothes, shoes, bags, toys, even pieces of furniture. Officer Adamu picked up a child's dress, pink with yellow flowers. The label read, Blessing Okafor age 7-2010. I know this family, he muttered. The Okafors moved away 8 years ago. Their daughter Blessing was always wearing dresses like this. But it wasn't just one dress. There were 7 dresses on that shelf. 7 different dresses from different years of the child's life, each carefully preserved, each labeled with dates. He was watching them, Officer Adamu said slowly. Watching everyone. For years. The crowd had grown larger. Nearly the entire neighborhood was there now, pushing and shoving to find their shelves, to see what Papa Okon had collected from them. A man named Tund found a pair of his old work shoes. He was sure he had donated them to charity 5 years ago. But here they were on Papa Okon's shelf, with his name on the label. A woman named Kioma found a pregnancy test positive from 8 years ago. She had wrapped it in newspaper and buried it deep in the trash, terrified before anyone could know. Before she went to the clinic to take care of it. Before she told anyone at all. But Papa Okon knew. Papa Okon had kept it. Oh God, Kioma whispered, tears streaming down her face. Oh God, he knew. He knew my secret. That's when the crowd started to panic. Because if Papa Okon had kept that woman's secret, what other secrets had he kept? What other private things had he stolen, witnessed, recorded? Young men found condoms on their shelves. Married women found love letters that weren't from their husbands. A pastor found a bottle of kai kai hidden among his items. The alcohol he secretly drank despite preaching against it every Sunday. This is witchcraft, someone shouted. This man was doing juju on us. Burn it all, another voice called. Burn everything before it's used against us. Officer Adamu raised his hands, trying to calm the crowd. Please, everyone calm down. We need to document all of this. This is evidence. Evidence of what? Mama Ngozi demanded. That man stole from all of us, stole our privacy, our dignity. Who knows what he was planning to do with these things? Or what he already did? Someone else muttered darkly. The police spent 3 days cataloging everything in Papa Okon's compound. 3 full days, and they still didn't finish. There were too many items, too many shelves, too many names. One of the officers, a young woman named Sergeant Obi, made a disturbing discovery on the 2nd day. She was going through a shelf labeled Adays Nwanko, 1984, when she noticed something strange about the dates. The items on the shelf went back to 1984, 42 years ago. But the woman, Adaze, who now lived 3 streets away, was only 38 years old. Sergeant Obi checked another shelf. Same thing. Items dated from before the person was even born. "Sir," she called to Officer Adamu. "I think we have a problem." They pulled more shelves. More impossible dates. A man who was 35 had items from when he was supposedly 7, but the date on the label was from before he was born. A woman who was 60 had items from her childhood items that should have been thrown away long before Papa Okun even moved to this neighborhood. "This doesn't make sense," Officer Adamu said, rubbing his temples. Unless what? Unless he didn't collect these things recently? Unless he collected them before the people even lost them. Sergeant Obi stared at him. "That's impossible. Everything about this is impossible." They decided to question some of the older residents. People who had lived in the neighborhood as long as Papa Okun had. Mama Ikong was 83 years old. She had lived on Mercy Street since 1965, longer than anyone else. "Yes, I remember when Papa Okun moved here," she said, sitting in her small parlor, a cup of tea cooling in her wrinkled hands. "It was 1975, I think. Maybe 1976. He came alone. Bought that compound with cash, which was unusual in those days. Kept to himself from day one." "Did he ever tell you where he came from?" Officer Adamu asked. "No, but I heard him talking to himself once. I was passing by his gate, and I heard him inside, speaking to someone. Only there was no one else there. I peeked through the gap in the gate. He was sitting alone, but he was talking like someone was answering him back. What was he saying? I couldn't hear properly, but I heard one thing clearly. He said, 'I promise, brother. I promise you won't be alone.' Over and over. 'You won't be alone.'" Officer Adamu felt cold despite the warm afternoon. "Brother? Did Papa Okun have a brother?" Mama Ikong shook her head. "Not that I know of. He never mentioned family. Never had visitors. It was like he had no past, no people. Just him and that compound." It was a young man named Kalichi who found the photograph. He wasn't supposed to be in Papa Okun's compound. The police had cordoned it off while they completed their investigation. But Kalichi's shelf had contained something he desperately wanted back. A ring. His grandmother's ring, which he had lost 2 months ago and had been frantically searching for. So he snuck in late at night, climbed the fence, and used his phone's flashlight to find his shelf. He got the ring. But on his way out, he noticed a door he hadn't seen before. A small door, almost hidden behind a tall shelf in the main room. Curiosity pulled him forward. He pushed the shelf aside. It was lighter than it looked, and opened the door. It was a tiny room, more like a closet. And in that closet, mounted on the wall, was a single photograph. 2 boys. Twins, maybe. They looked about 10 years old, standing together, arms around each other's shoulders, smiling at the camera. The photo was old, faded, the edges yellowed with age. Behind the boys, you could see part of a house and a tree. Kalichi took a picture of the photograph with his phone and left quickly, his heart pounding. The next morning, he showed the photo to Officer Adamu. "Sir, I found this in Papa Okun's house. I think those might be him and his brother." Officer Adamu looked at the photo. The twins did look remarkably similar. Same face, same build, same smile. One wore a white shirt, the other wore black. "We need to find out who these children are," Officer Adamu said. They showed the photograph around the neighborhood. Most people had no idea. But Mama Ikong looked at it for a long time, her eyes narrowing. "I've seen this before," she said slowly. "A long time ago. There was a family that used to live where Papa Okun's compound is now. Before the compound was built. Before the road was tarred. When everything here was just bush and small houses." When was this? 1960s? Maybe earlier. I was a young girl. I didn't live here yet, but I used to visit my aunt who lived nearby. I remember playing near that compound. There was a family with twin boys. Very close, those two. You would never see one without the other. What happened to them?" Mama Ikong's face darkened. "There was an accident. Or an illness, I can't remember exactly. But one of the twins died. Just collapsed one day and never woke up. The other twin, he couldn't accept it. He stopped eating, stopped talking. He would sit by his brother's grave and talk to the air, like his brother was still there. Officer Adamu felt his throat tighten. And the surviving twin? What happened to him? His family moved away. Too painful to stay where so many memories lived. I never heard what became of him. But if I had to guess, she pointed at the photograph, at the boy wearing the white shirt. That's Papa Okon. Officer Adamu couldn't sleep that night. His mind kept turning over the pieces of the puzzle, trying to make them fit. Papa Okon was a twin. His brother died young. He spent 40 years collecting items from his neighbors' items that sometimes came from before the neighbors even lost them. And he talked to someone who wasn't there. Someone he called brother. By morning, Officer Adamu had a theory. A disturbing theory. But he needed proof. He went back to the compound with Sergeant Obi and 2 other officers. They searched more carefully this time, looking not just at what Papa Okon had collected, but at how he had organized it. The shelves weren't random. They were arranged by date and by type. Hair in one section, clothing in another, personal items in a third. And in the very back of the warehouse room, hidden behind everything else, was a section with no names. Just a label that read, "For the village." What village? Sergeant Obi asked. They opened the boxes in this section. What they found made their blood run cold. Photographs, hundreds of photographs. Pictures of the neighborhood, the houses, the streets, the people. Pictures taken from angles that suggested Papa Okon had been watching, always watching. But these weren't regular photographs, they were wrong somehow. The people in them looked faded, translucent, like ghosts. And in the corner of every photograph, barely visible, was a shadow. A dark shape that looked almost like a person. "Sir," Sergeant Obi whispered, her voice shaking. What if Papa Okon wasn't collecting these things for himself? Officer Adamu looked at her. Then who was he collecting them for? They both looked at the photograph of the twin boys. At the boy in the black shirt, smiling at the camera, alive and happy in that moment long ago. The boy who had died. The brother Papa Okon had promised would never be alone. Officer Adamu knew they needed someone who understood things that normal logic couldn't explain. So he went to see Baba Akim, the oldest herbalist in the area. A man who knew about spirits and the spaces between the living and the dead. Baba Akim listened to the story without interrupting. When Officer Adamu finished, the old herbalist was quiet for a long time, staring at the photograph of the twins. "This is old magic," Baba Akim said finally. "Grief magic. The kind that happens when love refuses to let go." "What do you mean?" "When that boy's twin died, something broke inside him. Twins share more than blood. They share a soul, split between 2 bodies. When one dies, the other is left incomplete. Half alive, half not. Most people eventually accept it, heal, move on. But this one," Baba Akim tapped the photograph. "This one couldn't let go. He wanted his brother back, not just in memory. Actually back. Living, breathing, present. But that's impossible. Not impossible, just difficult. And wrong." Baba Akim set the photo down. "There are rituals, old rituals that most people have forgotten. Ways to build a bridge between the worlds. Ways to give a spirit substance, presence, form. But it requires sacrifice. Not blood sacrifice, something else. You need to give the spirit pieces of life. Pieces of the living world to anchor it here." Officer Adamu felt sick. The items. He was collecting items from living people to build a world for his dead brother. Exactly. Hair holds life. Clothes hold the shape of the living body. Personal items hold memories, dreams, fears. Collect enough of these things from enough people and you can construct a space. A pocket. A village between worlds where a spirit can dwell. And the photographs. The ones where people look like ghosts? Baba Akim's face was grim. Those aren't photographs of people. Those are photographs of what Papa Okon was building. A spirit village, populated with shadows borrowed from the living. Every person whose items he collected, he was creating a shadow version of them in that other place. So his brother wouldn't be alone. So his brother would have neighbors, community, life,
Sergeant Obi, who had come with Officer Adamu, looked horrified.
You mean there's a copy of all of us in some spirit world? Because of what that old man did? Not a copy.
A shadow, a thin slice of your life energy, shaped into an echo of you. Most people would never notice it's gone. It's so small. But over time, over years, Baba Akeem trailed off.
Over time what? Over time, that shadow becomes more real.
And the person becomes less real. Little things at first. You forget names. You feel tired for no reason. You look in the mirror and something seems off, but you can't say what.
Eventually, if enough is taken, the shadow becomes more you than you are. Officer Adamu went through the records that night. He pulled up files from the past 40 years. Missing persons reports, unexplained deaths, cases of people who had simply vanished without a trace. The pattern was there. Subtle, but undeniable. Every 5 years, like clockwork, someone from the neighborhood would disappear. Usually someone who had lived there a long time. Someone who had been part of the community for years and years. Someone who Papa Okun would have had plenty of time to collect from. 1980. A woman named Patience Oakwake vanished from her home. No body ever found. 1985. A man named Joseph Ez went to the market and never came back. 1990. A teenage girl named Naichi Okoro disappeared on her way to school. The list went on. 9 disappearances over 40 years. 9 people who had once been very real, very present, and then one day were simply gone, like they had never existed at all. Officer Adamu checked Papa Okun's shelves. Every single one of those missing people had a shelf with their name on it, and those shelves were the fullest, the most complete. Almost every aspect of their lives had been collected: hair, clothes, photographs, writings, personal items, even dirt from their footprints. He didn't just collect from them. Officer Adamu whispered to himself. He collected them, piece by piece, until there was nothing left in this world. Until they crossed over completely to wherever his brother was. Sergeant Obi stood beside him, her face pale.
Sir, what do we do?
How do we stop this? Papa Okun is already dead. I don't know, but we need to destroy everything. Burn it all. Return these people's pieces to them before. A sound interrupted him. A soft sound, like whispered laughter, coming from the backyard. They both froze. Did you hear that?
Sergeant Obi breathed. Officer Adamu nodded slowly. He drew his service weapon, though he wasn't sure what good it would do against whatever was making that sound. They moved toward the back door, toward the shelves covered with tarps, toward the darkness beyond. And in that darkness they saw it. A figure, small, child-sized, standing among the shelves. A boy wearing a black shirt, the boy from the photograph. Papa Okun's brother. The boy didn't move as they approached. He just stood there, watching them with eyes that were too old for his young face. He kept his promise, the boy said. His voice sounded far away, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. My brother kept his promise. He said I wouldn't be alone. And I'm not. Look. The boy gestured around him. And suddenly, Officer Adamu and Sergeant Obi could see them. Figures standing between the shelves. Dozens of them. Translucent, flickering, but undeniably there. The missing people. The ones who had vanished over the years, but also others. People who were still alive in the real world, but whose shadows had been collected enough to take partial form here. This is my village, the boy said proudly. My brother built it for me, so I wouldn't be lonely in the dark. He gave me neighbors, friends, family. He gave me life. This isn't life, Officer Adamu said, his voice shaking. This is wrong. These people didn't choose to be here. Does it matter? I didn't choose to die, but I did. And my brother loved me enough to bring me back. To give me something when everything was taken from me. Your brother is dead now, Sergeant Obi said. What happens to this place when he's gone? What happens to these people? For the first time, the boy looked uncertain. Afraid. I don't know, he whispered. I felt when he crossed over. When he came to this side. I felt him looking for me, and I hid. I hid because I was ashamed. Ashamed of what? Of this. The boy gestured around again. He did all this for me. Spent 40 years of his life collecting, building, sacrificing. And for what? So I could have pretend friends in a pretend village? So I could play house with stolen shadows? Tears ran down the boy's translucent face. I never asked him to do this. I just wanted him to live his life.
To be happy. To let me go. But he couldn't let you go. Officer Adamu said softly.
He loved you too much. Love shouldn't trap people.
Not the living or the dead. The boy looked at them directly.
You need to burn it all. Every item, every piece, every collected memory. Burn it and scatter the ashes.
Return these people's lives to them. Let them be whole again.
And what about you?
Sergeant Obi asked.
What happens to you when we destroy all this?
The boy smiled sadly.
I go back to where I should have been all along.
To rest, to peace, to wherever dead children go when their brothers finally stop holding on to their ghosts.
Your brother is on this side now, Officer Adamu said. Don't you want to see him?
To be together? No. The boy's voice was firm.
If I see him, if I call to him, he'll stay here too. He'll trap himself in this in-between place, just to be with me. And I can't let that happen. I love him too much to let him do that.
So you need to destroy this place before he finds me, please. They gathered the entire neighborhood the next morning.
Officer Adamu explained everything. The twin brothers, the collected items, the shadow village, all of it. Some people didn't believe him. How could they? It sounded like madness. But others believed. Those who had felt strange lately.
Those who had looked in mirrors and seen something wrong. Those who had felt pieces of themselves missing, even if they couldn't say what pieces.
We need to burn it all, Officer Adamu announced. Every item in that compound needs to be destroyed. Return to ash and smoke. But some of those things are mine, a man protested. My grandmother's necklace is in there. I want it back. You can't have it back. If you take it, if you keep it, you'll remain connected to that other place. Your shadow will stay trapped there.
Is that what you want? The man shook his head quickly.
They spent all day carrying items out of Papa Okon's compound and piling them in the empty lot next door. Shelves and shelves worth of collected lives.
40 years of obsessive gathering. By sunset, the pile was massive.
A mountain of memories and stolen moments. Baba Akim came to oversee the burning. He walked around the pile 3 times, chanting prayers in languages most people didn't understand. Then he looked at Officer Adamu and nodded.
It's time.
Officer Adamu lit the fire.
The flames caught quickly, eagerly, like they had been waiting for this. The pile burned hot and fast, sending thick black smoke into the darkening sky. And as it burned, people felt it. All over the neighborhood, people felt something return to them.
A piece they hadn't known was missing.
A weight they hadn't realized they were carrying suddenly lifted.
A woman gasped and touched her chest.
I can breathe, she whispered.
I can breathe properly for the first time in years. A man looked at his hands and saw color returning to them.
Life returning to him.
Children stopped crying without knowing why they had started. The fire burned all night. By morning, nothing was left but ash and twisted metal from the shelves. Officer Adamu stood by the remains, exhausted but relieved. Is it over?
Sergeant Obi asked.
I think so. I hope so. But they both knew there was one more thing to check. One last time, they went back to Papa Okon's compound. The place felt different, lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. They found Papa Okon's spirit in the small hidden room, sitting on the floor,
staring at the empty wall where the twins' photograph once hung. It's gone, he said quietly, not looking at them. Everything I built. 40 years. All gone.
Officer Adamu's voice was firm. It had to be done.
You were hurting people, taking their lives to build something that never should have existed.
I know. Papa Okon's spirit sighed, looking old and defeated. I always knew, but I couldn't stop. Every time I saw my brother, saw how happy he was in that village I made for him, I told myself it was worth it.
That this was love.
What brothers do for each other? Sergeant Obi asked gently. Where is he now? Your brother? A faint smile touched Papa Okon's lips. Free. Finally free. I felt him leave when the fire burned. Felt him let go.
Felt him forgive me. He finally looked up at them. He was waiting for my permission to go, waiting for me to release him. And when the village burned, when I had nothing left to trap him with, he went to wherever he was supposed to go 60 years ago.
And you? Obi asked. Where will you go?
Papa Okan's smile was real this time, sad but genuine. I think I'll go too. Now that I'm not holding on to him anymore, I can finally let myself go. Move forward instead of circling the same grief for decades. He stood, and as he did, he began to fade, becoming more transparent with each second. Tell them I'm sorry. His voice echoed as he disappeared. Tell the neighborhood I'm sorry for what I took. I was just a boy who missed his brother, and I never learned how to stop missing him. Then he was gone, leaving only the faint smell of smoke. Life in the neighborhood slowly returned to a new kind of normal. It's hard to go back to the way things were after learning your neighbor spent 40 years stealing pieces of your soul to build a ghost village for his dead twin. The empty compound was torn down, replaced by a small park, a playground for children, with benches for the elderly. There was debate about a memorial. Some wanted to remember Papa Okon. Others were horrified by the idea. They compromised. A small plaque was placed near the entrance. It didn't mention his name, just the words, "In memory of all who loved too much and lost their way. May they find peace." Mama Ngozi still lived next door. Sometimes, late at night, she'd hear whispers, faint footsteps, the sound of someone crying softly. But she wasn't afraid anymore. She understood. Grief doesn't vanish just because you burn the evidence. Some pain leaves an echo on the world itself, lingering long after the sound has faded. A year later, Officer Adamu left the police force. The case had changed him, revealing a world far stranger and sadder than he'd ever imagined. He opened a small bookshop, offering advice to young people who came looking for wisdom. When they asked if he believed in spirits, in magic, in the impossible, he would smile. "I believe in love," he'd say. "And I believe that sometimes love can be the most dangerous force in the world. Not because it's evil, but because it doesn't know when to stop. It doesn't know when to let go." The 9 missing people never came back. The fire had freed their shadows, but their bodies were gone for good. Their families held memorials, trying to find closure. Yet, sometimes, people reported seeing them. Glimpses. A woman who looked like Patience Ogweek at the bus stop. A man who could have been Joseph Ease at the market. They were never quite real. Just echoes. Shadows of shadows. 6 months after the fire, Baba Akeem passed away peacefully in his sleep. His last words were, "Tell the twins I said it's okay to rest now. Tell them the village is closed." And maybe they heard him. Because after that, the strange sounds stopped. The glimpses of the missing faded. The neighborhood felt whole again. But there was one final mystery. 2 years later, a young woman, new to the area, was digging in her garden. She found a small metal box, buried deep, protected from the fire. Inside were 2 items: a photograph of twin boys smiling at the camera and a letter. The shaky handwriting read, "To whoever finds this, my name was Okon Effiong. I had a brother named Ekong. He died when we were 10. I spent my life trying to bring him back, trying to keep him with me. I collected pieces of life from everyone and used them to build him a world. It was wrong. I know it was wrong. But love makes you do impossible, terrible things. If you're reading this, the village has burned. My brother is free. This is right, but I wanted one thing to survive. One piece of proof that we existed, that we loved each other. Remember us kindly if you can. Remember that we were brothers before we were anything else. And everything I did because I couldn't imagine a world without him. Forgive me. Forgive us both." The young woman took the letter to Mama Ngozi, now 90 years old, the last person alive who remembered the twins as children. Tears streamed down Mama Ngozi's wrinkled face as she read it. "What should I do with it?" the woman asked. Mama Ngozi thought for a long moment. "Take the photograph," she said. "Frame it. Hang it in your house. Let those boys be remembered as they were together, smiling, alive. Before death and grief twisted everything. And the letter? Burn it," Mama Ngozi said firmly.
We don't need to remember the pain or the mistakes. Just the love. Just the fact that once, they were happy. And so, that's what she did. The photograph was framed and hung on the wall of the young woman's sitting room. And sometimes, when the light hit it just right, you could swear the boys in the picture were moving, smiling a little wider, waving goodbye. Or maybe it was just a trick of the light. Maybe. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and share it. Until next time.